Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Paul, 10th Man, Arwin, who joined right in the middle of my intro to distract me completely, Neil, Paul, father of a stolen child, did I miss anybody? No, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hello, hello. Let's get straight into the housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No evidence for it, yet the ballers claim that there's a curve.
Well, that's a problem.
Well, it's supposed to hide boats and buildings.
It doesn't.
No.
So where did they go? Because I was looking at something the other day, and that's still a proof of a sphere Earth that boats go over the horizon hull first.
Well,
They still claim that.
I think we asked the question, is the horizon the beginning of Earth curve?
Yeah, the edge that they need, but don't have on a sphere. So they have to acquire an edge from something. Tangent point by way of R presupposition, dip angle to horizon. That's where they get their edge. At the moment, people are saying spheres don't have edges. It's like, yeah, that's the bit that obscures your view and is claimed to block boats and buildings. That's your edge. And you acquire it from a flat plane by assuming an R value. Now then we present something called the black swan, and you tell us that that horizon physical tangent point edge Earth curve has been refracted, meaning you can no longer acquire the R value, meaning the model's dead. Bye-bye, globe.
Yeah, they have a lot of problems. They have major problems.
Yeah, the black swan was like a boxer hitting the other boxer in the liver. Can't recover.
Yeah, well, you can't have a bigger Earth either, because that knocks everything out of whack.
Or you can't have the edge or the radius work out if you could never see it. I've never seen it.
Right. Well, the ballers have a huge existential problem. You see, when you make a mistake, you can correct that mistake and then move on and learn from that mistake. But when you deny evidence, then you can never get over that thing you're holding on to, which has been disproven through evidence. And it's going to basically hang on onto your soul, onto your spirit forever.
Well, what's our evidence? Because they claim we don't have evidence, and we're claiming you don't have evidence for a sphere, but we have evidence of it being flat and motionless.
Because that's how it presents itself.
Denial never resolves itself.
No, you've got to understand, Neil, that the Earth presents itself as flat. And that is a point that is conceded by both sides. It's then the question of, well, how do you observe it being spherical? Which makes the claim of it being spherical the extraordinary claim. Not the claim that it's flat. It's obviously and observably flat. As I say, a point that's conceded on both sides. Well, then you've got to prove the...
But...
Go on, Neil.
No, I was going to say, I agree 100%, but then we do have this black swan that gives us all the evidence we need. Correct?
Black Swan's... No. The Black Swan doesn't prove anything in terms of proving the Earth's flat. That's not what it's for. It disproves...
It proves it's not a sphere.
It proves it's not a sphere, and then the standing point, if you want, the obvious and observable nature of our reality beyond the extraordinary claim then takes precedent, as it should anyway. That's how we observe the world. But beyond that, it's not that you can assert modus tollens in the black swan and then say, therefore, the Earth is flat, because that's not the conclusion.
I understand what you're
Conclusion
saying.
is also
They're making a
sphere.
claim. They got to come up with the evidence.
Right, no one's hoax wax. Go ahead.
I think it was Paul.
No one's beeswax. My bad. Want to add something?
Nobody claims the Earth is curved.
I said the conclusion to the black swan is also not that it's not a sphere.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. What's the conclusion? Go ahead and read it for us.
Read it. I know it off by heart. If the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959.
Okay, recite it then.
I was just in the middle of it. If the Earth's a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to Earth curve can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the black swan shows beyond all certitude that the demonstrable distance to the horizon is beyond the physical limitations of a sphere, therefore the Earth's not a sphere.
Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere with the radius 3959.
No, therefore the Earth's not a sphere. Because it can't be inflatable.
Okay,
now, can
well,
it?
if that's actually the conclusion, then it's not modus tollens.
Why not?
Modus tollens is if P, then Q, not P, therefore not Q.
If the Earth is a sphere, maybe
With
that bit
the
slipped you by.
radius of
Maybe that bit
3959.
slipped you by. No?
Well, he read it wrong anyway. It says if P, then Q, not Q. He said not P.
Oh, he's a bigger Earth guy. I know it already just by him saying 3959.
Woo, Jupiter Earth.
It's a
Yeah, and
masterpiece.
what about all the stars and everything and all the planets? They rely on
You
that
can't just
3959.
you can't just cut the if statement in half in the second half of the argument. That's not how logic works.
Yeah, and you can't just inflate a rock, can you?
You can't inflate a what?
A rock, radius 3959, spherical in shape. Can you change a rock?
It doesn't say it changes. It just says that's not what it is.
Yeah, it's not a
So the
radius
only
3959 sphere. That's correct.
There you go. Yeah. So that's the conclusion. It's not a sphere at all. It's just not a sphere with the dimensions that are
Oh,
in
you're
the
an idiot.
premise.
Well, then your model is broken.
So then, heliocentric model that asserts radius 3959. Maybe you could tell us that at best we've debunked your radius that you absolutely rely upon for the model.
That's what I just said.
If you ignore refraction, that's correct.
All right, refraction. Your refraction's got an R in it, my friend. Radius 3959.
No, I
7 over... Don't interrupt me. Your refraction has got an R in it at radius 3959. So, what are you talking about? You're breaking up.
Get a better mic.
There is
will
no
you?
R in Snell's law. Try again.
Well,
Sorry, Snell's law isn't
There is no
terrestrial...
radius
Excuse
value.
me.
There is
Snell's
no-
law. Sorry, is Snell's law part of your terrestrial refraction calculation in the Earth geometry that is asserted to prove Earth's a sphere? No, Snell's law is not.
Yes. Snell's law is how we calculate refraction.
No,
yes.
it is not. It is terrestrial refraction.
Snell's law is how we calculate refraction.
That's how you calculate refraction, but not terrestrial refraction, where you assume light bends around the sphere that you assume. That's your refraction. So no, it's
Snell's
not.
law is
I'll
how we
say it
calculate
again while you
refraction,
interrupt the
yes.
conclusion for the third time, because you don't like it when you're proven wrong. The refraction on a globe is terrestrial refraction, not Snell's law. You are wrong. The rate of terrestrial refraction is based on R, 7 over 6 in standard form. That is your refraction, not Snell's law.
Snell's law is used to calculate any refraction.
That's fascinating. And on a globe, you use terrestrial refraction, not Snell's law. So while refraction's real and you can use Snell's law to calculate it, That is not what is used in the heliocentric claim of a sphere-Earth horizon maths. That would be 7/6 of a radius. That's 4 times. Tell me that refraction's calculated with Snell's law again, so I can tell you that that's not the refraction in your globe math. Tell me again, 5th time.
I don't use the calculator.
Don't give a crap what you use. The globe uses an R value, dick brain. Do I
No,
care what you
one-
use? You're a nobody. Meanwhile, the globe math uses R. Do you understand that or not?
One person that
Do you understand that your globe math for refraction uses R because you're claiming Snell's law and you're wrong 5 times? You've claimed it and I've refuted it, and you haven't conceded. What's wrong with you, man?
one person that QE found uses.
Sorry. One person that QE found, you're going to try and reverse the burden of proof on us, are you?
I thought their
I'm not reversing the
calculator
burden.
was based on it.
Excuse me. Terrestrial refraction is what is applied in standard format at 7/6 of the radius. That is the refraction used when you assume a sphere and bendy light around the sphere. That's what's used if you think you're on a globe and you're claiming refraction. That's 6 times, not Snell's law. 6 times. I'd like you to concede. I know it's where your argument dies because you're claiming the horizon's refracted. No, and you're also claiming that it's refracted with an R value that you've already conceded you can't have if Earth has sphere radius 3959 debunked in modus tollens. So you haven't got 3959 radius to apply your refraction, my friend.
You keep saying that's what I use.
I don't care what you do. Globe does, dick brain. Do I care? You're a nobody. The Western world thinks they're on a sphere radius 3959, and the refraction applied in that assumption has got an R in it. 7 times.
Stop telling me what I use, Nathan.
I don't care what you use. I'm not telling you what you use. I'm telling you what the globe does. Now, you're here fighting for a globe and saying, well, I'll use Snell's law. Oh, really? Well, that's fascinating when we've got globe Earth geometry that uses an R value for their refraction. You're not using it. Oh, well, then you're in the wrong place. Go and debate with some tosser on the street who couldn't give a crap about the actual rhetoric that's being asserted for the entirety of the Western world. You are but one man. Clear?
Or maybe present what your model is then.
Yeah, show me how Snell's law is sandwiched into a globe model somehow.
You use Snell's law every time.
Don't tell me what I'll use. Tell me where you've got a citation that says Snell's law applies to a bendy light around a sphere. Show me that. Bearing in mind that we've had Mick West, the guy who's got these calculations, and his claim that it's Snell's law, with a little link to Snell's law, just below where it actually applies 7/6R. Bearing in mind we've had Mick West over a barrel on this, yeah? A guy who's actually got a calculator for Earth curve. Not you, just some tosser. We've had Mick West over a barrel on this, my friend. You absolutely, unequivocally use R in your refraction calculation for a globe Earth. You do if you're a glober. Yeah, I'm not stereotyping, I'm telling you. That's what you will do if you believe you're on a sphere, radius 3959. That's what you'll do. Now, I've challenged the high priest of this calculation, Mick West, in his maths for it. You, on the other hand, say you don't do it. Well, where's your calculator then?
I use Snell's law.
I don't care what you use. There's globe Earth maths. Have you got a globe Earth calculator with Snell's law in it?
You do care what.
Don't stutter. Have you got a calculator for a globe Earth with Snell's law being applied and the maths thereafter to back up your claim that Snell's law is applicable? It isn't. Terrestrial refraction is. I've said that 9 times. So have you got?
Do care what I use because
Have you got a globe Earth calculator with Snell's law being applied? Yes or no?
yes,
Let's see it.
you want Snell's law.
No. 3rd time, you dumbo. 3rd time. Are you deaf? A globe Earth calculator that assume light bends around it that says no, that's because of Snell's law and the maths that would entail. Do you have that?
Yeah, give me the atmospheric conditions between the viewing point and the observer, and I can do it for you.
You can do it with a calculator that you'll provide us, like the one Mick West provides that we've grilled him
I
over
could
his lack of
approximate-
application.
I could
Why are you
approximate
interrupting me?
the calculation.
Why are you interrupting me, Fundy? That's a question I'd like an answer. Why are you interrupting me?
Because his balls
You just
dead.
keep going on, Nathan.
Because I'm what? Going on about the fact that you've said the horizon's moved because it's refracted. I've pointed out that no, your refraction needs R. You've already conceded at the bare minimum that definitely haven't got that radius because of modus tollens. You conceded that. Didn't quite say the old Mr. Sensible, at best you would have debunked the radius, but that's pretty much what you said. Now we're in a point where you're saying refraction, your refraction needs R. But you're saying no, Snell's law. Yeah, I highlight to an audience that you will bait and switch refractive effects in the atmosphere by way of 7/6R. That's something I educate my audience with on an almost daily basis. Now we're at the 9th rendition of the point your argument died, and you're not conceding. Fundy. Why not? It's not Snell's law. You don't have a calculator that's got Snell's law applicable. You saying you can do it on the fly isn't a globe Earth calculator asserting heliocentric sphere Earth edges getting in the way of boats and buildings and light refracting around at a rate of R. No, that's 10 times, friend. Hello?
Can I speak now?
You haven't got a globe Earth calculator with Snell's law applied because it doesn't apply Snell's law. It applies terrestrial refraction. You just need to concede. It's 11 renditions. Just say, yeah, I get it. Not Snell's law. Refraction based on R. That's what your globe model uses. You don't have to like it. 12 times. Hey, Adam.
Afternoon,
Okay.
everyone.
You keep insisting on what I have to use.
The globe, not you. You can do what you like, you babbling moron. You can stand on the street and tell people that you can do the maths for a globe Earth with Snell's law. Meanwhile, there is a standard calculator, and all of them apply R-based refraction, without exception. Do you understand that, or not? Do you think that you are suddenly the arbiter of a new calculation that uses Snell's law? If so, show us this model and the maths for it.
It's not a new calculation by any means. It's just a more accurate one.
There is no calculation for Snell's law in globe Earth maths. It uses R, terrestrial refraction. You're just thick.
Okay.
Yeah, you are thick. Yeah.
Okay. You say so, Nathan.
I do say so. I understand your globe Earth model and its requirement to bend light around a claim to be curved atmosphere at a rate of R. That's what your globe model claims. You don't have to like it. The fact that you want to utilize a bait and switch, like all of them, where they'll talk about refractive effects like Snell's law and say, well, Snell's law's real, therefore light bends around the rate at 7/6R around a globe Earth. That's the bait and switch. I've just stopped you doing it.
Yeah, you can't get over on Nathan with that.
It's not a big switch.
Oh, really?
If you
So
have
you
really
think that where it says 7/6R in Mick West's calculator, and we asked, why are you saying Snell's law? And then he shows a little link to Snell's law that doesn't apply to the calculation. You think that you can do better.
gotta find
What's
the
your
username,
calculator
please.
published under? What's it published under?
Are you done? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done ripping you a new one. What's your calculator published under? What's the website for your calculator?
Unmuting me?
What? No, no way! He's asking if I'm muting him. I've recited the rebuttal to your claim of refraction, Snell's law, 13 times, and while I'm giving you the rendition, you're asking if I'm muting you. No, that's you talking through me. Scum.
He's pushing a curved atmosphere, but he's not saying that directly.
You're saying
Can
Snell's
I
law
tell
is
you
just
how to
wrong.
Calculate it now.
Right.
What's the
Where do
website
you
for your
get your curved
calculator?
atmosphere?
What's the website for your calculator?
I don't have an approximation calculator.
You don't have a calculator? Oh, right. Well, I've
God.
quizzed heliocentric priests far up the food chain compared to you. Like Mick West, who does have a calculator. Very heavily referenced, my friend, Metabunk. Now, I have had him over a barrel and ripped him a new asshole based on his assumption of R. And he needs that R for his refraction at 7/6R. You are just a tosser. Clear, tosser?
I'm sure.
How
Mick
does
West's
terrestrial-
calculator-
You are a tosser. I'm
Involve
telling you,
Snell's law.
tosser. Yeah, that your refraction based on Snell's law is not applied in globe Earth maths. Don't have to like it.
Unmuting me.
Keep telling me I'm muting you while you talk through me, eh?
You're fundy muting me.
Mate, I'm telling you in no uncertain terms that your calculations need R. You're saying no, Mick West's not right. That's just one
Stop
calculation
telling
that
me what
uses R.
my calculations need. You don't know what my calculations need.
What's the website for your calculator?
I don't want an approximation, Nathan.
Sorry, that's not an answer. I asked for a website. He says he hasn't got an approximation. What's the website for your calculator?
I don't want an approximation.
I'm not asking for an approximation. I'm asking for a website address.
Well, that's what the calculators do, Nathan.
What's the website
Your
address?
calculator.
Nathan, every calculator you could.
Don't tell me what every calculator does. This is when a scumbag who's had the same exact rebuttal put to him 13 times and then starts chanting through me about whether or not I'm muting him does when he's asked for a website address for his calculator.
He's
I've already
silly.
told-
He's pushing a curved atmosphere, but denying R.
Worse than that, Tenth Man. He's literally connecting two things that don't connect. So how does Snell's law involve with terrestrial refraction, which is the thing that is claimed to displace the horizon away from the geometric horizon visually? How do those two relate? Can I explain that?
That's what Nathan
Because
is asking
Snell-
him, and he's
because
avoiding it.
Snell's law. It is because Snell's law can calculate. It does not matter the type.
Really?
Well, see,
What?
it's noise. I don't know what's going
Sorry, Snell's law is Elijah. You're causing all sorts of chaos. So, no
on.
one,
It's not me.
no one. Hello, can you put yourself on mute? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're causing audio chaos. Sheesh. Snell's law can calculate refraction. Yeah? Well, your refraction's orthographic-based refraction. You can't calculate that with Snell's law. Because you never get a position where you've got a
It doesn't
photograph.
matter.
Why are you talking to me? Fundy mute time? Yeah, you can't calculate orthographic refraction with Snell's law. You never get a circumstance where you have a picture with your own head in the frame and the target on the right-hand side, you on the left-hand side. That's the refraction that is used in the globe model. It's orthographically represented and cannot be done in Snell's law.
It doesn't matter what type of.
Sorry, it doesn't matter. That sounds like a very rumpus reply. Yes, it does matter. Your worldview is represented in orthographic, and you can't do that in Snell's law. You can apply 7/6R terrestrial refraction, and tell me it doesn't matter third time.
If you have light entering a substance at an angle of incidence,
No, you don't.
you can.
Not in a geographic Earth curve mathematics. You've just ignored what I've just told you. Orthographic! Hello? Do you know what that means? What's orthographic mean?
I don't know why it means you can't. Use
What
Snell's-
does orthographic mean? Go.
Why would orthographic mean you can't?
What
use
does it
Snell's law?
mean? What does it mean? Not what. Don't ask me about how it applies. Tell us what it means. I suspect you don't know.
What it means? Is relevant. You're
Seems
saying
you've
you
got-
can't use it for Snell's law.
Don't tell me what we can't do. What is orthographic view?
I'm not telling you what you can't do. You said you can't do it. You said that.
I'm asking you
not?
what orthographic is, and you don't seem to know. If I'm telling you as a rebuttal that you can't apply Snell's law based on the light and how it moves, when orthographic view and globe Earth can't represent that, I want to know that you understand how the rebuttal works, and I'm asking, what's orthographic view? You're not answering. Don't you know? I take it you don't.
Right.
Why can't
Well,
you
at
use
least if he
Snell's
doesn't
law
know,
for
then don't
orthographic?
opinion about it if you don't know, because that's really stupid.
Why can't you use orthographic?
Don't ask me a question because you don't know the answer. Tell us what orthographic view is.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, shut up. You're a dick. You don't know. You're thick. Yeah, I say orthographic view can't be represented when you talk about Snell's law. You say it doesn't matter. I ask you what it is. You say you don't know. Or you ask me a question. You're thick.
I
How
asked
would you
why
know if
can't
it
be
doesn't
used.
matter when
Arwin,
you
shut
don't know
up.
what it is?
You don't know what orthographic view is, my friend. Good. Finally. Snell's law seems like very slow way to calculate things. Hi, 10th man, says Godzilla37.
Hi.
Sorry, Arwin. I want to hear the end of the conclusion with him
Sure,
stunned
it is a
silent.
slow way, but it's an
Sorry,
accurate
don't
way.
talk through me, dickhead. Your silence was the time you had to talk. That little gap was when you should talk, not when I'm talking. Okay? Now, I asked you what something was. You didn't know. That's the end of your time. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just pissing in the wind, hoping for the best.
And you're just asserting that you
Shut up! Do you understand? Shut up!
without explaining.
Do you
why.
understand? Shut up. Your time here's over. At the point I asked you what orthographic view was, and you start asking me a barrage of questions about it, that admirably demonstrates you don't know what it is. Therefore, your time here is done. You don't understand the argument. You don't understand the rebuttal.
didn't ask me
I'm
a
not going to
question
explain it to you
about
while you interrupt me.
orthographic.
Shut up. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
The CGI proved it to me.
Are we done with
I
that
can
guy?
imagine it now, so that means it must be real.
Yes, we are done with that guy.
Did
Didn't
I-
understand the
Did I
rebuttal.
miss funding this already?
Yeah.
Okay, as long as we get to comment on it later, that's fine.
Comment on it now. Feel free.
Okay,
Thanks, Nathan
well,
says well.
he's presuming a curved atmosphere. So he's saying one thing, and then he's trying to deny the R, but he's assuming a curved atmosphere. Where do you get the curved atmosphere if it's not 7 over 6R?
It is. I told him that for what, 13 times.
Where did I assume a curved atmosphere?
You don't, the globe does. You tried that trick about 7 times. It's a globe claim. If you're a glober, it's your claim. It's not stereotyping, it's a fact with the globe. If you believe in it, that's your claim. Don't have to like it. It's not stereotyping fallacy, and I don't care what you, one nameless, faceless individual, says. It is utterly inconsequential when the entire Western world... This is the 3rd time I've repeated this. Yeah? Shut up. Tired of you. You're a moron.
Yeah, this
And-
is
and
Mark
look,
Taylor level. You need to inform
Globe
yourself
claims-
a little better.
Globe claims are stereotyping now.
Well,
That's pretty
well,
funny.
so with Snell's law, you have like the light entering a second medium in which the angle of the light changes. Now, when you Google Snell's law and you click images, like that's what it shows. It's not in, there's no example where you have light curving around a curved surface. None. There's none that describes obstruction being moved because of refraction. That's why I like when you asked him to, get a citation, and he just wouldn't, because it doesn't exist.
Right. They use 7
No,
over
he
6R.
doesn't know. He doesn't even know the difference. He's very ill-informed.
Right, gotta shout out a couple of super chats. So, shout out to Retro Bill. It says, regarding Earth curve, Ball has consistently referenced the studies where surveyors measured triangles with angles adding up to over 180 degrees. What's the best way to address this? Their angles adding up to 180 degrees are based on the presupposition of the zenith measurement being taken to the center of a presupposed spherical Earth, Retro Bill. That's why. So, if you take the measurement and assume you're on a sphere, and then move over and take a new zenith, assuming you're on a sphere, that's going to happen. Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. Thank you very much. Also, Godzilla37, 10th man doesn't get my pun. I want my money back. Let's just read your super chat again.
I got it. I had to go look at it first, and I just responded to it. That was clever.
Now, he says, Snell's law seems like a very slow way to calculate things. Oh, snail's law. Very good.
Ooh, nice.
Very good, very good. Was there another one?
There's,
Go on, John.
I was going to say, like, the whole point of the dip angle is to measure the radius. If the horizon's not geometric, you don't have a radius to measure. We're talking about what is, and they're trying to give justifications for why they can't measure this now. That's ridiculous.
How do you get a dip angle of an apparent position?
Hold on, just 1 sec, Chocolate. Measure this. this is Earth curve. Right? It's the title when they've got a load of horizons composited together. This is Earth curve. So when they're saying this has moved with refraction, it's the horizon they're talking about, and the horizon's their Earth curve. So Earth curves moved with refraction, they're saying, making their entire claim a complete sham, farce, nonsense, contradiction, paradox.
Well, I remember Andrew Thomas Young, which he said QE only uses one source, which is not true, but he said that all his refraction studies were done over a plane surface.
Right, when they're talking about real refraction, they will. Snell's law. Yeah, it'll be applied with two different densities. It was detailed earlier by somebody. We're not talking about it bending around a sphere. That's not what Snell's law's doing.
Yeah, and then he said that if you wanted to work on what he's trying to say, meaning a globe Earth, we need to take geometric considerations.
Yeah, radius.
Bingo.
Yeah, but the geometric consideration has to be there, of course, because the horizon is not actually a geometric sphere edge. You have to first consider that in order to engage in the mind experiment.
Bingo again.
Well, this backpedal of refraction, the word that was used to actually call us, all types of flurf and other names just to say, oh, they think that perspective is a thing. That's only a thing in drawings and things like this. And now they're talking about refraction, and it's like, well, if you Google, how to get the distance to the horizon, when you talk about artillery and projectiles, if you just Google this stuff right now, none of it says anything about refraction at all. It's very weird what the ballers have done over the course of a year to not admit defeat.
Just gonna show you something. So camera on to do this. Just bear with me a second. So there's a few people that are saying a globe doesn't have an edge. Spheres don't have edges. Yeah, but you need to acquire one to do the geometry. And I'm going to demonstrate what your sphere edge is when you're claiming Earth has a sphere edge for a horizon. So this is, let's just put my camera on, my sphere shape, not a globe Earth, just a sphere shape. And from behind the edge, we're going to have something appearing from behind the obstruction that is the edge. An obstruction, a limitation to your view. Now that is the edge of a sphere that they claim boats are going over and buildings are being blocked by. That is your edge, called Earth curve. So when you're in the comments denying that spheres have edges, it's the one that the boats and buildings are claimed to be blocked by, just so you know.
Yeah, and please come in and keep denying that shit. Meanwhile, this is what kids are being taught. This is what people like Bill Nye, Neil Smoking the Grass Tyson is showing. So coming in here and saying, can we have a citation? This is our claim. And, oh, that's a stereotype of globe claim. Stop being morons, Globers. Just give it up. Get a grip.
Oh, we've got two people trying to present. Hold on, Adam. Flirspective. Flirspective.
Yeah,
What's this?
We made the Urban Dictionary.
No way! That's great. That's what the Globers are currently claiming. When we show them a boat disappearing bottom up prior to the Earth curve edge claimed to be obstruction, that's an edge that the boat would go over. When that happens before that distance, ballers now tell us that it's just the optics, it's just the perspective. Well, we're going to rename what they claim when they start asserting optics that aren't included in their mathematics. We call that flirspective. Perspective's obviously real, doesn't need renaming. But when you start claiming perspective and you've got a bull belief, it becomes flirspective.
Funny how something y'all came up with 3-4 years ago came back to bite you, huh? So we're going to tell you guys. You guys, are you claiming flirspective optics? Oh, really? That's adorable. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Indeed.
That's lovely, isn't it? How cocky they were 3.5 years ago.
I'm gonna spend a week or two.
And they act like we don't remember that shit.
For the
They act like.
Go on, Eli.
I'm going to spend a week or two for the benefit of myself, which will benefit everyone else. But because I'm tired of not having the appropriate clip for the time that they say we've never claimed an Earth curve edge, because there's just countless shows and countless hours that I've fallen in love with this show so long ago, and I have not gone back to the material, back to the days where there was like 5 or 6, globe earthers arguing about this stuff, but on the opposite, just having a different, a different opinion. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna do that. Like next 2 weeks, I'm gonna look at old, back in the day, Nathan Oakley videos for that kind of stuff.
But going back and looking at Thin Nathan, excellent.
Let's start with 267, where Mick West clearly tells us that R is based on the presupposition of the standard model. Yeah.
That
Thanks,
was
Mick West.
shortly after being absolutely ripped to shreds based on links in his website that took you to descriptions of things like Snell's law that had absolutely zero association with their claim of 7/6 of the radius value. He had that ripped out of him before we pointed out that they assume R in the first instance, which he admitted to.
Whilst you're there, Nathan, on that bit, that's listening to the waffle earlier with regards to Snell's law and trying to apply it to a medium, because I mean Snell's law applies to a medium change. It's at the point of interface of the medium change that you do this. So I was just doing a quick look to see if you could apply Snell's law to the same medium of varying density. And the answer is no. I'll just read the conclusion. The equivalent of Snell's law is derived for refraction in a medium with a varying index of refraction, demonstrating the use of the Euler-Lagrange optimization technique. So you have to go and it's not sounds like a porn euphemism, but you have to calculate what's called fluff density, which is to do with the varying density of the medium. But what I thought was interesting was just the statement at the beginning. The second big assumption is the potential field is static, not varying with time. There is no consideration given to energy conservation, momentum conservation, curved space-time, dilated local time. This is a purely mathematical treatment with idealized conditions. So none of this is experiment-based. It's all mathematical. Ooh. If you're gonna
all abstract, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's
clearly
fine.
Told by them.
Just because it's abstract, it's a description. Maths is just a language. It's describing something that occurs when you have light traversing a medium change. That's what it's describing mathematically. Does that mean that it's immediately an invalid description? No. In the same way as me describing how we don't have a geometric sphere edge for a horizon, it's just me describing something with language. Now, if that language is maths or English, it doesn't make it wrong automatically. It's just a description.
That's what they're saying. They're saying it is wrong. It's wrong. It's the wrong language to use Snell's law. It's the wrong language when you're discussing the same medium with varying density. You have to use the Euler-Lagrange refraction. That's the language to describe it mathematically, not Snell.
Oh, right. Oh, I see.
Well,
so you're saying where it could or was being asserted to apply in the mathematics of Earth curve geometry, it can't. It's the wrong language when talking about Snell's law in maths. I see your point. Excellent, Adam. Debunking the guy completely and concisely. Thank you. Excellent.
You have to use Euler-Lagrange in fluff.
Euler-Lagrange in fluff.
Yeah. So I said.
I see. And at any stage,
hold on.
In Euler-Lagrange in fluff, does it at any stage in this mathematics assert that light bends around a presupposed radius value?
Well, this is what they're talking. I've only had a quick skim, but yeah, they cover capture radius at point of source and curvature of trajectory. But this is based on the fluff density. It's saying so, not based on R, because obviously it's the phase, it's the differential in density that's supposed to be causing it. They're just assuming a link to R, but actually in the actions of the photon, it can't have anything to do with R. It has to do with the medium. And then they're just then the perversion, isn't it, to make it fit the alleged curve that they then say is to do with Snell's law. That as this is saying, no, you can't use Snell's law for that. But it is to do with the density of the medium and the other mathematical stuff. It's quite too complicated for me to get my head around in a couple of minutes, but that seems to be the principle that they're making. It is not, you can't use a language that describes refraction occurring from one medium to the next where they're distinct mediums. You have to use this, which it talks about varying density of the same medium.
Okie doke. Thank you, Adam. Much obliged.
Hey, Adam, just to be clear, isn't the atmosphere the same medium? Just to be clear.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. As you look out from your position, if you're talking about atmosphere, then you've got a varying gradient as you look out from your position, as the angle changes as the ground falls away from you. But that's all summed up by one word: atmosphere. So sphere-shaped air, no, that doesn't work in the same way. But that's why whenever these are described, the actual effects of refraction, they're not doing them over spherical surfaces. They're doing them over flat surfaces.
Let me rephrase. Is the air one medium?
Yes.
Wait a minute, Paul. You're asking, is the air the same medium as the air?
That's correct. That's what he's asking. But in the sphere air, then no is the answer. When you assume a sphere air, no. From your vantage point, no. It changes as you look out. That's an assumption that it changes. Of course, that assumption comes along with a terrestrial refraction claim that light's bending around at pretty much the same rate as the ground's falling away from you to straighten it all back out again.
Well, let me be even more clear. Hold on, let me be even more clear. I'm looking at something out in the distance over some water, and between me and the thing I'm looking at, is that the same medium?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. Just making sure.
But not if you say atmosphere first.
I mean, it is a point that does seem to need clarity, because a lot of Globers will say, well, Snell's law explains black swan. It's like, wait a minute. Like Adam said before, doesn't Snell's law talk about two mediums? So that's where Paul's like, hey, is the air the same medium as the air? Because that would be one medium.
Now, here's where I would say, okay, give me an example. But there is no example of. They don't even have illustrations of that. Like they don't have illustrations of someone looking out into the distance.
No, that's why
not what Snell's law is referring to.
Well, that's what I'm talking about when I said to the guy, no, it's orthographic representations in globe earth maths. Moving on. Any more on this before we move on? Any evidence of gas pressure without a container?
Gradient.
Two containers, maybe?
maybe two containers?
Maybe.
How are you going to have gas particles colliding with not the walls of a container?
They don't. They just carry on. If the sky was a vacuum, for example, then the gas we breathe would fill that space because it'd have nothing to bounce off of. So it would just bounce off the ground if it was going down for whatever reason,
Right.
and go straight back up again.
Oh, and I'm willing to even state
the
that,
only way...
let's just say there was an opening suddenly, like the lid was taken off, right? Which has to be there in order for the container to be closed, and we have gas pressure. Then everything in it, the gas-wise, right? The entire gradient is going to universally expand. Like the entire gradient is going to stretch up and expand in all directions. Like even as it is gradiated, it's going to instantly expand uniformly in all directions, pushing everything out. right? Even though it was gradiated, there was lower pressure at the top. The entire thing will expand in all directions, gradient and all, until it's all gone.
Indeed.
Rumpus uses a scientific word. He says it wanders off.
Yeah, all the gas we're breathing would wander off into space if there was nothing containing the gas. Further to that, we wouldn't have that scenario because Arwin's describing gas with containment, having the containment removed and suddenly dispersing because it's no longer got anything to press upon to maintain the pressure. Now, I can translate that one step further back in terms of the history of heliocentrism and say, if the sky was a vacuum, as per the heliocentric model, we would never develop gas pressure in the first place. Gas would leave the ground and just dissipate into space immediately. That's all the gas would ever do, so you'd never develop pressure. Sky's not a vacuum, space is fake.
So the only thing left to do is to think of another context in which you would also have to change the definition of gas pressure.
They do. Well, they don't. They say it doesn't apply to the atmosphere. Neither does gas law in general. PV equals nRT doesn't apply to atmosphere. Second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to atmosphere. Their assumption that air takes the shape of a sphere doesn't fall in line with natural law. That's the bottom line.
I just got one question. What were all these laws discovered again? I'm still not clear about that. Where was it discovered again?
Natural laws in nature. The descriptions of things that occur in nature, natural laws. This is how it occurs, and that's how the description is given. And they're saying the way things occur in nature, as described in these natural laws, isn't how our nature is. That's what the heliocentrist says. So where gas expands into a volume, our gas doesn't expand into our volume. Our volume space and our gas isn't expanding into it because that law doesn't apply. That's their reason. The natural law, the law of nature, doesn't apply to the model of a world that's a sphere in a vacuum. That just means we're not in a vacuum and we're not on a sphere. Doesn't mean that natural law doesn't apply to the world we're living in. It does. They're laws of nature. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
That's just nonsense.
With the black swan, I think I can rebut the angular velocity conservation they claim.
They don't claim that.
So the rebuttal when we point out there's no Coriolis.
I'll just say it again. They don't claim that. But go ahead. Feel free to debunk the rebuttal when we point out there isn't any drift that they're claiming. The rebuttal has got a rebuttal to the rebuttal, and that's what you want to give. Go ahead.
Well, they're given a value measured in radians. Where do they get their radial value from?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's so slick. Man, that draws a close to that conclusion so fast. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I like that. That gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling. Thank you, John. It's been a good day.
Again?
Yeah, say again?
Well, when we point out that there's no Coriolis observed, they'll say it's a conservation of angular momentum. Well, that's measured in radians. Where do they get their radial value from?
Ah, nice. That's hilarious, man.
You've got to name that. That I was poo-pooing it because it's the rebuttal to a rebuttal that debunks Coriolis, right? So I started off by poo-pooing it. Now I'm going to say that deserves a title, man. That's so good. From Black Swan to Coriolis debunking in one sentence. That's got to be applauded.
I missed it. Can you say it again?
When we point out that there's no Coriolis, they'll say that it's the conservation of angular momentum, which is measured in radians. And I would like to know where they get their radial value from.
Right.
Chocolate, do you want to whisper Black Swan?
Angular momentum. Angular momentum requires a radius. Brilliant. Very quick.
How come you didn't think of that, Nathan?
I think you'll find I did. It's copywritten Nathan Oakley 2020, I believe. Thank you for reminding me, John, of my excellent idea. Now, of course,
What?
because obviously John is brilliant. That's why. Why didn't you think of it, Neil?
I'm learning from you.
Don't put me on a pedestal. I'm just one man.
And QE and John, you guys are really smart. I learned a lot.
Nah, it's all secondhand from me. So don't put me on a pedestal. Disseminating secondhand information I've learned. That's my talent. Doesn't mean I'm smart.
You're smart.
Not at all. I used to get it when I was a rep. I'd be selling something and I'd know everything about the product inside out, back to front. And if it was electrical, I'd know all the electrical information about it, to the point where somebody who was technically inclined could ask me a question and I could answer it. And they go, well, obviously you're a technician. And I go, no. I failed miserably because I'm colourblind. I kept blowing things up. So, no, I'm definitely not in any way electrically, geared. But it doesn't mean I can't recite something that someone's told me and explain 10 times. Well, doesn't make me a technician.
Yeah, but that's a talent in itself.
Salesman. That's what it is. Sales.
As long as you're not a greasy used car salesman like, what's his name, Chocolate?
Nothing wrong with
Who's
used
the
car
used
salesman.
globe salesman?
Nothing wrong with used car salesman. Nothing wrong with a used car salesman.
He's the used globe salesman.
Yeah, that's more like it. Any evidence that
He still claims you don't. He still claims that you got the Coriolis all wrong, Nathan. It's hysterical.
Yawn. How interesting. After 4 years of debating it, I'm pretty confident that I know exactly what Coriolis is and how to debunk it. And thanks to John, we've now got a swift debunking of their claim that, nah, it's retention of angular momentum. Oh, really? That's measured in radians, right? Where'd you get the radius? Black Swan.
Boy, that Black Swan is a killer, isn't he?
I've been hoping for a really concise demolishment of Coriolis effect in the first instance, John, with Black Swan. Now, that is a demolishment of the rebuttal that comes when you point out that there's nothing drifting. Well, you wouldn't expect to see drift. It's conserving the angular momentum. Where'd you get the radius? Black Swan. Epic.
Well, that was one of the reasons I stayed with the globe so long, is I thought I could measure a radius. And when the Black Swan showed it to be in a non-geometric position, you're not measuring it anymore.
I would have loved to have been there when you converted. Was there a lot of scratching of your head? Like, what's going on here?
Was it a relief or was it stressful?
It was. I would say it was stressful. It was like my brain throwing up.
Neil, have him speak to your son. I think that'd be a good idea.
I was thinking of that. I really was thinking of that.
Sorry. This is down to you, Neil.
You guys were stressed? Man, listen. I felt like I dropped a whole bunch of weight that never existed. Are you kidding me? I was just like, oh, I'm not forced to believe this nonsense anymore? Fantastic.
No asteroids are coming to hit me while I'm sleeping?
Yeah, but there's a downside too, right? Well, no, you're not forced to believe that nonsense. There's going to be plenty of people out there that will want to force you to believe this nonsense.
I'm okay with that. When I made that decision that I'm going to go forth and do what I do, I said, well, obviously there's going to be a lot of people fighting me on this, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right fighting as long as I got truth behind me.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about people and their feelings.
Like, it's like going into a chess match that you know inevitably you will win because of the ignorance of the other party.
Yeah, but why is that? Because when my brother first mentioned Flat Earth to me, I literally abused him for at least 2 or 3 weeks as I watched video on top of video of Flat Earth and just walked away like, holy cow, the Earth is flat. What's going on here? What is that in us that? Because I abused him. I made fun of him. I laughed at him.
You were taught it. Like,
Okay,
and what I mean by that is like the media that we consume like usually they problem solve in a fallacious way, and we pick that up as a society.
Right.
Well, and it doesn't, and it really it goes in all directions, because I mean, if you're questioning anyone's paradigm, no matter what it is, the first aspect of it is ridicule. Like, what are you thinking this and that? Because I mean, I'm not going to say who and what, but I started questioning some things about the thing that's not supposed to be talked about, that's not scientific on the flat earth side. And because I brought that into question, I got ridiculed for it, asking for scientific evidence, asking for certain things. So it really just depends on how hard you've held on to your paradigm and how hard you're willing to either let it go or cling to it. Then ridicule will come after that.
And it's stressful if you're aware of that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're aware of that as a society, it's frowned upon to believe the Earth is flat. Now, I'm using their words because that's the position that I'm taking when I describe this transition from John's example of being a globehead, relying on R and knowing that that's something dependable that you've always got, to, oh my God, it's not. Well, if you're acutely aware that people who are flat earthers, maybe by you, if you kneel, are ridiculed because you've done it, then you're going to think, well, crap, I've now got to try and appeal to all these people who are out there that were just like me 25 seconds ago that would literally ridicule this nonsense because it isn't nonsense, it's actually the truth. But that doesn't change the people around me who still think as I did 45 seconds ago.
Yeah, but it's so weird because I brought everything at him. I was like, NASA and all of these people are lying. Like, everything we hear, I threw at him. Like, I'm surprised he stood so calm.
Was it stressful because the ridicule you thought you'd receive, John, or was it more that just the paradigm shift is just cognitively stressful to change paradigm on the spot when you realise you haven't got R? Or is it, like I say, the ridicule that you knew you'd get as a result?
Well, I think a lot of my imagination and the things that I loved was tied up in the globe. You know, I was a space nerd. I love space. I love everything about it. And it's not real, you know. It's not easy.
And I feel that, but I wonder, like, is it hard? Is it hard for people because they hold onto it in their imagination that much? Like, they put themselves in space all the time in their brain. Because I just felt like this is a cool story, great, right? But I don't have to hold on to this as my reality. Are you kidding me? Like, why would I get stressed out and then start attacking a group of people who are like, hey, how about I trust what my senses tell me about the earth that I live on, as a part to trusting some stories some guy in a white lab coat told me?
Well, it's kind of analogous. It's not actually like, but it would be analogous to like waking up one day and realizing you're a brain in a jar.
Oh,
is what
God.
it felt like.
Is that really the note I'm going to have to end this live show on? Yes, it is. Thank you very much, John. You did so well until that point. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, or becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!